The sky was a dull gray as Wendy sat across from Elaine's spotless desk, watching her boss skim through her promotion file with the same bored expression she used for everything. 5 years of sacrificed weekends, skipped family gatherings, and endless overtime were packed into a 20-page portfolio, one that Elaine barely looked at before pushing it aside. I appreciate your enthusiasm, Elaine said, adjusting her expensive glasses. But after reviewing everything, I don't think you're ready for senior management. Your work has been adequate. Maybe in another year or two. Adequate. The word dropped like a weight between them. I wanted to remind her that I had the department's highest client satisfaction scores, that I was the one who saved the Lawford account when everyone else gave up, that I hadn't had a real weekend off in 3 years. But instead, I gave her the polite, professional smile I had perfected. I understand. Thank you for the feedback. I'm glad we're aligned, Elaine said, already checking her watch. The Ellison proposal needs your attention today. They want additional metrics before they'll sign. By the time I picked up my things, she was already typing an email. My career disappointment forgotten in seconds. I walked past the corner office that should have been mine, the one with the window view and the glass door where my name belonged. In the parking garage, I sat in my car and stared at myself in the rearview mirror. The woman looking back wasn't sad. She wasn't even angry. She was calculating. I started the engine and made 2 decisions that changed everything. I would cancel my upcoming vacation. I would stop writing my daily operational guides. No one at the office knew it yet, but their perfect system was about to collapse without the invisible backbone holding it together. Before I explain what happened next, you might wonder why so many people stay in jobs where they're undervalued. If any part of this sounds familiar, make sure to like and subscribe. I share a new career strategy every week that might help you change your professional life. Now, back to what happened after that meeting. My name is Amelia Carlton, and until that day, I was the most dependable employee at Meridian Solutions. Not the most noticeable or the best paid, just the one who quietly kept everything running while others took the credit. I'm naturally organized, with a near photographic memory for systems. Growing up with 4 younger siblings taught me how to solve problems before they blew up, a skill that translated perfectly into corporate life. When I joined the company 5 years ago, the department was a disaster. The previous team leader had quit suddenly after fighting with management and took all their knowledge with them. No documentation, no handover, not even passwords to essential tools. Clients were ready to walk away, and no one had a clue what to do. I spent 3 months rebuilding everything from scratch. I stayed late nights piecing together old spreadsheets, digging through emails, and learning every system inside and out. Then I wrote detailed process guides, color-coded, indexed, and neatly organized. Elaine never learned how anything worked. Why would she, when I kept it all running smoothly? "You're such a natural problem solver," she'd tell me during performance reviews, always followed by a tiny raise that never matched what I actually did. Recently, the company landed a huge contract with Ellison Enterprises, worth millions in yearly revenue. I built that relationship from zero, attending late-night calls to match their time zone and studying their industry. Elaine joined exactly 3 meetings, mostly to take credit later during executive reviews. Every day, I arrived at 7:30 to prepare briefs for her 9 to WICAS meeting. Every night, I sent full updates on every active project. And in between, I handled issues before anyone even knew there was a problem. But the morning after my failed promotion, something shifted. I walked in at exactly 9 a.m. No early arrival, no briefing notes. I answered only the emails addressed directly to me. If someone else was responsible for a task, I forwarded it to them instead of handling it myself. By lunchtime, 3 coworkers had stopped by my desk looking confused. "Amelia, Did you see the thread about the Lawford scheduling conflict? Peter from accounts asked. Yes, I said, still typing. He lingered, expecting me to jump in. So, can you fix it like you always do? I looked up. That actually falls under procurement. I've already forwarded it to Diane. He blinked. But you usually handle these things. I've been encouraged to focus on my assigned responsibilities, I said with a polite smile. I'm trying to show that I understand my proper place in the organization. By 5 hours, I packed my bag and left. No staying late, no taking work home. On the drive, I canceled the cabin reservation for my upcoming vacation, the first real break I'd planned in 3 years. If the system was going to fall apart, I intended to be there to witness it. That evening, my phone buzzed constantly with work notifications. I put it on silent. Instead, I baked chocolate chip cookies with my daughter Elena, something I hadn't had time for in months. Mom, why are you home early? She asked, licking cookie dough off a spoon. I thought about how to explain office politics to a 10-year-old, then kept it simple. I decided my time is valuable, honey, and I want to spend more of it with you. Her face lit up. Can we do this again tomorrow? Absolutely, I said, ignoring the phone vibrating on the counter. By the next morning, the problems at the office were already showing. The Ellison team had requested urgent changes to their implementation plan, changes that only I truly understood. Elaine tried to lead, the response team herself, but without my usual detailed briefings, she was lost within minutes. At 10:30, she marched to my desk. Where are the process notes for the Ellison customizations? She demanded. They're in the shared drive, I said in a pleasant tone, under client implementations. I mentioned it at last month's department meeting. There are hundreds of files there, she snapped. Which one? I pulled up the folder. The master file is called Ellison Enterprise Integration Complete Process Documentation. It's organized by module with tabbed sections. Elaine stared at the 200-page document like it was written in another language. Can you just take care of this? The client is waiting. I'd be happy to, I replied, but I have the quarterly compliance review this afternoon. I can work on Ellison first thing tomorrow morning. Her jaw tightened. This can't wait until tomorrow. I understand, I said politely. Would you like me to reschedule the compliance review? It's due to the regulators by the end of the day. She didn't respond. She just turned and stormed off, her heels striking the floor in sharp, angry clicks. That evening, I turned off all work notifications and took Elena to the park. My personal phone sat silent beside me as I watched her laugh on the swings. For the first time in years, I wasn't thinking about work. I was simply there, present. When we got home, I checked my work phone once. 79 missed calls from different office numbers. The voicemails sounded confused, stressed, even panicked. Ellison was threatening to cancel their contract. 3 internal systems had crashed. All the answers were in my guides. Guides no one had ever bothered to read. I put the phone down and slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I arrived at exactly 9 QAS again. The entire office felt different. People were rushing in every direction. Through her office window, Elaine was waving her hands in frustration on a video call. The regional director's assistant paced nervously near the elevators. I sat at my desk and calmly organized my tasks for the day. Where have you been? Peter whispered urgently, appearing beside me with frantic eyes. Everything is falling apart. Elaine has been trying to reach you since yesterday. I left at 5 Clow. I said evenly. My contract states my hours are 9 Clows to 5 hours. But the Ellison crisis, what about it? He looked both frustrated and desperate. They're ready to walk. Nobody can figure out the changes they're asking for. I nodded. That process requires special handling. It's all in the guide I wrote last year. Your documentation makes no sense to anyone without you explaining it, he nearly shouted. Before I could answer, Elaine's assistant rushed over. Amelia, emergency meeting in the conference room, now. I grabbed a notebook and pen and walked, at my normal pace, to the conference room. Inside, Elaine sat beside the regional director, Byron Wallace. Their faces were tight, papers scattered across the table. Amelia, Byron said, visibly relieved. Thank goodness you're here. We need your help with the Ellison situation. I took a seat and opened my notebook. Of course. What would you like me to do? Elaine's expression was tense, her anger barely contained. Let's be direct, she said. What will it take for you to fix this? The promotion. It's yours. I tilted my head slightly. That's generous, but a competitor reached out. They offered me a senior management position with a significant salary increase. They seem to believe I'm qualified. The room froze. Byron's eyes widened. Elaine's eyes narrowed. You're leaving? Byron asked. When? I haven't accepted yet, I said calmly. I've been considering my options. Name your number, Byron said instantly. Whatever they're offering, we'll match it. I smiled politely. It's not only about pay, it's about respect, recognition, and real opportunity. The Ellison team asked for you by name, Elaine snapped. You can't leave now. Interesting, I replied. So did 4 other clients this month. I reached into my bag and placed a folder on the table. This is my 2 weeks' notice. I'll assist with the transition as required by my contract. Elaine reached for the folder, but Byron grabbed it first. He opened the folder, glanced through it, then closed it with a firm snap. This won't be necessary, he said. Amelia, I'd like to speak with you privately in my office. As I stood up to follow him, Elaine stayed in her chair, her knuckles pressed tightly against the polished tabletop. For the first time, the company's reaction to my resignation was revealing just how deeply they had underestimated me, and what they were suddenly willing to do now that they recognized my actual value. I followed Byron down the hallway toward his corner office, feeling the curious stares from coworkers as we passed. His office was clean, modern, and designed to impress. Awards and industry plaques filled one wall, and enormous floor-to-ceiling windows showed a sweeping view of the city. He gestured for me to sit in the chair across from him. I've been paying attention to your work for quite a while, Byron began, folding his hands on the desk, though clearly not closely enough. I stayed silent, allowing him to continue. The situation with Elaine concerns me, he admitted. This is the first I've heard about your promotion being denied. Why didn't you come directly to me? Chain of command, I said simply. Elaine is my supervisor. Going above her would have been inappropriate. He nodded slowly. Admirable, though perhaps not the best approach in this case. He took a breath. Be honest with me. What would it take for you to stay? I chose my words with care. Recognition for what I actually contribute, fair compensation, and a role where I can put my strategies into practice instead of carrying out someone else's ideas. Byron studied me for a long moment, then spoke. I'm creating a new position, Director of Operational Systems, reporting directly to me. Double your current salary, 3 days a week remote, full authority over workflow design. He paused. It's yours, if you want it. I didn't answer right away, and that seemed to catch him off guard. Is that not enough? He asked. It's very generous, I said. But I need to be clear. I'm not using another offer to negotiate. There really is a competing company waiting for my response. Byron leaned back in his chair. What can they offer that we can't match or exceed? A clean start, I answered honestly. No past of being overlooked. No coworkers who treat me like support staff instead of leadership. He nodded slowly. Fair point. But consider this. You've built systems here that only you fully understand. You've earned the trust of important clients. Leaving means rebuilding that from zero. He wasn't wrong. 5 years of deep knowledge isn't easy to leave behind, but neither is the feeling of being consistently undervalued. I'll need time to think, I said at last. Of course. Take the weekend, he replied. But I need your final answer by Monday morning. He stood, signaling the meeting was over. And Amelia, he added, I'd appreciate it if you could help stabilize the Ellison situation before making your decision. I nodded. I'll handle Ellison personally today. When I reached my desk, an email from Byron was already waiting. It outlined the new position in writing. The salary made me blink twice. It really was more than double what I currently earned. The responsibilities read like they'd been crafted exactly for me. I was gathering materials for the Ellison call when Elaine appeared beside my desk. Her expression was carefully controlled. We need to talk, she said quietly. Not here. Lunch. I have the Ellison call at noon, I replied. After that, then. My office at 2. I nodded and turned back to preparing for the crisis ahead. The Ellison team was frustrated but visibly relieved when I joined the call. Their requests were reasonable. Urgent, but reasonable. They needed customizations that normally required weeks, completed in just a few days. I walked them through a phased approach that prioritized their most critical needs first, while still building toward their full, long-term vision. This is exactly why we wanted to work with your company, their director said. You understand our business needs, not just the technical specs. After the call, I documented the entire solution step by step and sent it to the implementation team with precise instructions. Normally, I would have handled everything myself, but today I delegated properly, remaining available for questions, but not taking ownership of the execution. It was a small, but important shift. At 2, I knocked on Elaine's door. She looked different, smaller somehow, with dark circles under her eyes that suggested she hadn't slept much. Close the door, she said, motioning to the chair across from her. I understand Byron offered you a new position. He did, I confirmed. She nodded slowly. I won't pretend I'm happy about it, but I understand why he did it. You're valuable to the company. She hesitated, and I sensed there was more. I owe you an apology, she said finally, the words clearly difficult for her. I've relied on your competence without acknowledging it or rewarding it the way I should have. May I ask you something? I said. When you told me I wasn't qualified for senior management, what exactly did you think I was lacking? Elaine shifted uncomfortably. You've always been more technical, the behind-the-scenes problem solver. Senior management requires visibility, presence, political savvy. In other words, I said quietly, I do the work while others get the spotlight. She winced. That's oversimplifying. Is it? I asked. The Ellison contract? Who presented the winning strategy to the executive team? I did, she admitted, but based on the proposal I developed. And the client retention initiative last quarter, the one that saved 4 major accounts, the one you received the leadership award for? That was a team effort. A team I led, I said calmly. One I coordinated and created all the materials for. I leaned forward. I'm not lacking qualifications, Elaine. I've simply allowed others to stand on my shoulders while I stayed invisible. Silence stretched between us. Are you taking Byron's offer? She finally asked. I haven't decided. If you stay, she said carefully, things will be different between us. Yes, I replied. They will. The weekend gave me space to think, away from office politics. On Saturday, I took Elena to the Science Museum, something I'd been promising for months but never found the time for. On Sunday, I called my sister for advice. What does your gut tell you? She asked after I poured everything out. That I've outgrown the box they put me in, I said. But I'm not sure if Byron's offer actually changes that or just makes the box more comfortable. Would you be reporting to Elaine in this new role? My sister asked. No, directly to Byron. And what happens to Elaine? It was a fair question. Byron hadn't said anything explicitly, but his tone had made it clear. Elaine's position was being reevaluated. My sister was silent for a moment. So your choices are take a clean slate somewhere new, or accept a promotion that might result in your old boss being demoted. When she put it that way, the choice felt heavier. I don't want revenge against Elaine, I said slowly. I just want recognition for my work. Are you sure? She asked. Because from everything you've told me, I think part of you would enjoy seeing her face the consequences of underestimating you. Her words landed sharper than I expected. Was that what I wanted? To see Elaine humbled? To watch her realize how much she'd relied on me while dismissing my contributions? The uncomfortable truth was, maybe. By Monday morning, I was ready. I arrived early, 7:30 a.m. like the old days, and went straight to Byron's office. His assistant hadn't arrived yet, but his door was open. You're early, he noted, glancing up from his monitor. I wanted to give you my answer before the day gets busy, I said, taking the seat across from him. I'm accepting your offer, with 2 conditions. His eyebrows lifted slightly. I'm listening. First, I want to build my own team, full hiring authority for 3 positions I consider essential. He nodded. Reasonable. And the second? Elaine stays, in her current role. Byron blinked slowly, clearly surprised. After how she treated you? Why? Because removing her doesn't fix the structural issues in the department, I said. And because I don't want my first act in leadership to look like retaliation. He studied me for a long, assessing moment. That's unexpected, he said finally, and politically very smart. I've learned a few things, I said, from the sidelines. Very well, he said. Elaine stays, but her department will now coordinate through your office for all operational matters. Thank you. No, Amelia, he said, extending his hand with a rare, genuine smile. Thank you for staying. The announcement will go out this morning. I'd prepare for reactions. He wasn't wrong. At 10 a.m., the company-wide email went out, formally announcing my new role and outlining my expanded responsibilities. My inbox immediately exploded. Congratulations, questions, calendar invites. Peter stopped by my desk, looking slightly embarrassed. So, you'll be my boss now? He asked. Technically, yes, I said. Is that going to be a problem? He shook his head too fast. No, no. Honestly, you've always been the one who actually knows what's going on. Throughout the day, people who had barely acknowledged me before suddenly found excuses to introduce themselves. Administrative assistants, who had always treated me kindly, now smiled with a knowing edge. They understood better than anyone how invisible labor kept the company afloat. Elaine avoided me the entire day, until late afternoon, when she finally appeared at my desk, a folder clutched tightly in her hands. Elaine finally showed up at my desk late in the afternoon, holding a folder tightly in one hand. These are the quarterly strategy documents, she said, her voice stiff and controlled. Since operational planning now falls under your responsibilities, you'll need to present them at the executive meeting tomorrow. I took the folder. Thanks. I'll go through everything tonight. She started to walk away, then paused. For what it's worth, I didn't push against your promotion because I thought you couldn't do the job. I did it because I couldn't afford to lose you from my team. It was probably the most honest thing she had ever said to me. That's part of the problem, though, I replied calmly. Good leaders help their people grow, even if it means watching them move on. She gave a short, tight nod and left. That evening, I stayed at the office later than usual, rearranging my workspace and setting up what I needed for my new role. Byron stopped by as he was heading out. "You're still here? I figured you'd be out celebrating," he said. I smiled. "I'll celebrate this weekend. Right now, I'm planning." "Planning what?" I handed him a document I'd been shaping for a long time. "How to make sure nobody else in this company gets overlooked the way I was. This outlines the new department structure and includes training programs to identify and develop internal talent." He flipped through the pages, visibly impressed. "You put all this together today?" "No," I admitted. "I've been building it for almost 2 years. I just never had the authority to put it in place." Byron shook his head with a small laugh. "Remind me never to underestimate you, Amelia." "That's the idea," I said. 3 months later, the changes were already making a real impact. My new team included a brilliant systems analyst who'd spent years hidden in IT support, and a talented process developer who had been working as an administrative assistant. Together, we streamlined operations in 4 departments, cutting overtime by 40% and boosting performance across the board. Elaine and I settled into a strictly professional working relationship. Not warm, but respectful. And once she was freed from the operational tasks she had never fully understood, she became excellent with client-facing work. Employee satisfaction scores went up significantly. The Ellison contract grew to include 2 more service lines, and they specifically asked for my department to oversee the expansion. Their CEO even called Byron personally to praise the company's improvements. 6 months after I'd been passed over for the last time, I left the office at 5 p.m. sharp, something I'd made a habit of continuing even with more duties. When I walked through the door at home, Elena was at the kitchen table, her homework spread out around her. "How was work, Mom?" she asked, looking up. "Productive," I said, setting my bag down. "We launched the new training program today. 25 employees will now have development opportunities they never had before." "Like the chances you didn't get," she said thoughtfully. "Children always see more than we expect." "Yes," I admitted. "Exactly like that." She nodded. "That's a nice way to fix things. Instead of getting mad, you're helping other people." I smiled, realizing how right she was. Sometimes the best way to respond to being overlooked isn't anger. It's showing your value so clearly that nobody can ever deny it again. Later that night, after Elena was asleep and I was reviewing slides for Monday's executive meeting, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Byron. "Board approved your promotion to VP level effective next month. Unanimous vote." Elaine gave the strongest recommendation. "Congratulations." I put the phone down and let the moment sink in. What I felt wasn't triumph or revenge. It was clarity. Being promoted, having my name on a corner office door. That was nice. But that wasn't the real victory. The real victory was helping build a system that recognized talent instead of burying it. The real victory was creating opportunities for people who had been unseen, just like I once was. Sometimes the most powerful response to being underestimated isn't proving someone wrong. It's helping create a workplace where real skill is impossible to ignore. If you've ever felt invisible at your job, even while carrying more than your share, I hope my story gives you strength. The abilities that make you indispensable are the same qualities that prepare you for leadership. Don't wait for permission to be valued. Show your worth so unmistakably that ignoring it becomes impossible. And if this story resonated with you, please like and subscribe for more insights on navigating and transforming workplace dynamics. Remember, your value isn't defined by someone else's failure to see it. It's defined by the impact you make, seen or unseen.